Hello, welcome to a new How to Fix video, and today we're going to be talking about Arsenal and how they should fix the club as a whole with the pretty dreadful season they've had this year. So, talking about the dreadful season, we're going to give a small review of what really happened this year. So, in case you forgot, Arsenal actually started out the year with Unai Emery as their coach, and second year in charge, feeling pretty optimistic, qualified for Europa League. Pretty good squad, nothing much to say. But yeah, so Arsenal side they started all right. 1-0 win against Newcastle, nothing much to say. Still being a bit bland and inconsistent. But then Arsenal would go on to have their worst streak in 27 years. The club not being able to win in 7 games, which, for some club actually seems to be a decent run of form, I'd say. But for Arsenal, it's not great. So Emery does end up getting fired after a 2-1 loss to Frankfurt in the Europa League. He gets replaced by Freddie Lundberg. I don't know how to pronounce it. Who, interim manager before Arteta comes in. Now, Arteta sort of had some stability. Arsenal ended up drawing loads of games, winning against Man U, but not getting any sort of consistency. Even crashing out of the Europa League against Olympiacos. So, pretty fun stuff for an Arsenal supporter. Then COVID break, the restart came, and Arsenal were pretty dreadful, losing against Brighton. Brighton getting the double over Arsenal with Neil Maupay scoring 2 goals in both fixtures, which I'm not saying Neil Maupay should be a star key signing for Arsenal, but we'll talk about it later. But I think he should be included as Idris. Loves the player, of course. So you've had some disastrous results this season. You're 9th right now. One of the big talking points for the whole season has been the defense, because it's been absolutely dreadful. I mean, you can take out at least one game where Mustafi's cost you a goal, David Luiz has cost you a goal. Bellerin's been injured half of the season. Nothing's been good really. So we're going to start looking at what are the positives and what are the negatives you can take away from this season. Granted, there are probably more negatives than positives, but we'll start with the negatives then, shall we? So I think it's pretty obvious, but the defense should certainly be the big negative from the season, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think the defense with David Luiz's signing in the beginning of the year, there were high expectations for the defense to improve. There was also the signing of Kieran Tierney, and we all thought that this would be a big step to improving Arsenal's defense. Obviously, with Saliba, but who isn't here yet. So the fans all had higher expectations because defense is what let us down on many occasions. However, we saw that this year, it hasn't really changed. However, I think there is some positive about the defense. I think Arteta recognized that Arsenal have a lot of pace, but obviously are dreadful in defending. So he sets up on a 5 at the back formation, just like Wolves, with 3 solid centre backs and 2 wing backs, and it's been working for quite a few games right now. And I think that's a good system to really solidify the defense without losing the width and the speed.
Yeah, I think it's just annoying looking at all of Arsenal's. It's just individual defenses. It doesn't seem like the defense system's that bad, to be honest, but every time it's just an individual mistake that costs you like a point or the game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the defense system itself is not bad, but that's why I think Arteta tried different things. And I think now that he found the formation he really wants to go, probably for next year, I think now that he implemented the formation, he has to do the transfer market and fill in the important gaps of that formation. So now that he has the idea of how he wants to organize the team, now the next step is to implement that idea.
Yeah, and I think also what's let me down this is probably the midfield as well, because you got Ceballos on loan this year. He showed in a couple games he can add real quality, but Ozil's still not playing at all. Ceballos is for me a bit of a letdown. Xhaka is Xhaka. He had the whole incident one season where he started shushing his own fans. I mean, pretty ridiculous stuff, but. The midfield doesn't seem too creative.
Yeah.
Considering the plays that there are in the midfield, it should be way better than it is right now.
Yeah, as you said, Ceballos had a few good runs in the very beginning, but then was absent. He recently only came back with a few good 2 or 3 matches, but apart from that, we haven't seen a lot from him. Ozil, nothing. I'm sorry, but nothing. Xhaka was the whole incident. Yeah, you're right. Guendouzi right now is being left out from the squad because of his performance in his fight against Brighton. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he's not even on the match paper. Then Torreira had a really long injury. And when you look at the names of that midfield, you really expect more, but it just hasn't come for Arsenal.
No, it's promising, but it's a shame. I mean, even the attack, to be honest, just always riding Aubameyang. Pepe's been disappointing. Yeah. Maybe a bit too much weight on his shoulders for the big transfer he's had. But I think attack doesn't seem to be. I'll look at the transfer window after, but it's maybe not one of the main focus points that Arsenal need to be thinking about. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the negatives of this season, it's been a lot of the signings that have let you down. Ceballos, David Luiz, Pepe, they haven't really elevated the team up from what the team was lacking in the 18-19 season. So I mean, it's a shame. But now the positives from this season, if you can think of any.
Well, the main positive I think is that apart from the recent loss against Tottenham, I feel like we're really gonna end the season on a high. So as I said, Arteta really found the formation that pleases him and that he thinks in continuing next year. So I think I'm pretty optimistic about that. All they need now is to get used to it, correct some tweaks about it. But I think now that they have the formation, because the biggest problem with Arsenal was that they always change players. They changed formation, changed the lineups and stuff. And now that they found that formation, I think that's a good step forward, and that's optimistic. But then also an important point will be for them to keep the squad they have now. I'm thinking of Aubameyang, who was thinking about leaving for Barcelona and stuff, because there are really important roles in the lineup that he's building. So I think he needs to keep that lineup with the same players for now.
Do you see Aubameyang wanting to stay at Arsenal after this season? To be honest,
yeah, I think Aubameyang will stay at least one more year. Give it one more year to try.
But I mean, for his own player development, it's not looking super likely that Arsenal will even make the Europa League, is it?
Yeah, true. But I really think Aubameyang, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I really think he likes Arsenal's club. I think he has like a great chemistry with, like you said, Pepe. I think he sees that maybe if he was to go to Barcelona, he might end up like Griezmann, not playing all the time. So I'm pretty sure he'll stay at least one more year.
Hey, who knows? Maybe you'll attempt the Aubameyang Griezmann swap. Maybe this is what we've been talking about. Maybe you're the club to do it. But I mean, guessing positives, your attack is still pretty reliable. I mean, you can always rely on Aubameyang to score.
And also the discovery of new talents. I think that was a key point in the end of the season. Saka, Joe Willock, also Eddie Nketiah, who was on loan from Leeds, but who I'm pretty sure scored more goals with Arsenal coming back than when he was on loan. So I think that's a very positive point for next season, the rise of those youngsters.
So yeah, well, talking about all these youngsters, etc. This transfer window coming up, we know it's going to be a bit particular with clubs not having much money to spend because of the COVID crisis. But what can Arsenal really do in this transfer window, knowing that all the other transfer windows where there weren't any economical problems, you guys, didn't spend much.
Yeah, I think there's really two types of players that Arsenal really need to get. So I think the first one is a very creative midfielder, a bit like Bruno Fernandes. So they have the pair, they have Xhaka and Guendouzi and Torres holding. For creative, they have Ceballos, but it's just still not the same flair, you know.
But don't you think Guendouzi's gonna leave though?
Yeah, Guendouzi's leaving.
Wants him in the squad.
Yeah, Guendouzi is going to leave. I think Arsenal has enough defensive midfielders. I'm thinking Torreira or Xhaka for me are better than Guendouzi.
Yeah.
Ceballos is a good offensive midfielder, but I think Arsenal need to step up a bit on that platform. I think the good player for Arsenal right now in that position would be Thiago Alcantara, the Bayern man who expresses a desire to leave, but who I feel will probably go to Liverpool anyways. But I feel like he would be a good fit for that midfield. And I think the next big one is obviously with Arteta going with three major center backs, three big center backs, and then two wing backs. We already have the wing backs with Tierney and Bellerin, or even Cedric and Kolasinac. So I think the next step is finding that third center back, because right now Kolasinac is filling in the spot, but it's just not his position. He's used to being a wing back, a left back, and so a center back, as we saw last game against Tottenham, made a big mistake that cost us a goal. So I think a third very strong center back is what Arteta needs to find as well.
Third one. You don't really. Of course, Saliba is going to be a massive upgrade to any of the three you have at back right now. But right now, you only have one. Saliba, I'd say, is a good centre back, of course, but you can't really put all the pressure on him yet because he's never been at Premier League. So, right now, what are you looking at? You're looking at Mustafi, Saliba, and who's what? David Luiz?
You've got Callum Chambers.
Luiz. What did you say?
You've got Callum Chambers.
Yeah, Rob Holding as well. Yeah. So maybe. Yeah. That's why I think it should be, honestly, if it should be Saliba, Mustafi, and another player, and another one that we will get on the transfer market.
I feel like you're definitely right that Guendouzi shouldn't be in your club. He's just he's an embarrassment, not only defensively, but also with that whole incident against Brighton, especially him telling Neil Maupay that he was going to make more, that he makes more than he would in his entire career, despite his salary being 10k lower. I think that's not the kind of mentality you want to associate with the club. And I also have no idea how he did not get sent off for that.
Yeah.
He seems to be a pretty special player and not in the good way.
Yeah. He's definitely on the to sell list. Guendouzi's probably in that.
Also, I'm slightly confused as to why David Luiz is going to be offered a new contract.
He already signed it.
Yeah.
I guess maybe Arteta sees something in him we don't, but I wouldn't be against having some sort of like a veteran centre back.
Yeah, that's it.
With like a Saliba or a Rob Holding next to them, so guide them for the future. But it's definitely not long term. And I think if we want to save or fix Arsenal, we need to be looking long term. And David Luiz is not a very optimistic sign.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then you've got the attack. Honestly, I think at this point, maybe you should sell. if you really want to, if Arsenal really wants to have the sort of young mentality where you're going to focus on the young guns, etc., sell Aubameyang. Like, just, I mean, do it now.
He's the only good player.
Yeah, but he's not gonna make you go next season. You're not gonna miraculously go back to fourth.
He's probably the only reason they're not in a relegation battle.
That's like he's in the race for Golden Boot. He's got 20 goals this season in the Premier League.
Take away 20 goals from Arsenal, who are currently 9th. That's insane.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
No, right. Yeah, but
I see where you're getting at. You're thinking about a long term and for the future with the young players. But I still think
reconstructing the club,
But I still think the moment to trust the young players hasn't come yet. It's still a transition period, and I think he needs to be there for that transition period.
I mean, the last goals since the restart, the last goals Aubameyang have scored have both been against Norwich.
But I think it'd be interesting to go through all of Arsenal's results and see how many points have been won thanks to Aubameyang. I think it would be a very different story.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think Arsenal have got to think about that after Aubameyang more than still relying their whole season around him.
I agree. But
because still isn't given enough opportunities. He's consistently being started up on the bench, being the sort of super sub. I mean, you bought Pepe 80 million. You've got Lacazette. Start them, make them play, even if they're not, having exceptional games. I think it's stupid putting them on the bench, not building up their confidence.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Aubameyang's always going to score 20 goals if he's your only option. He's only your only option because you're not constructing the other players around him. It's good that Saka's getting playing time and Nketiah's getting playing time. Otherwise, Aubameyang is going to have too much responsibility on his shoulders.
We're not saying that Arsenal shouldn't stop relying on Aubameyang, but saying that they should get rid of him altogether is insane. Obviously, it's always good it's always good in your team to not rely on a single player. That's one of the issues that Fulham had, and they're starting to work around that now. So I completely agree with you from the point of view that you need to give other players opportunities, like Pepe, and maybe some of the young players too. But ultimately, you do have to rely on form. You can give people chances through substitutions, but you don't want to be starting someone who hasn't scored a goal in 25 games.
Yeah, for sure.
I
think definitely.
But that not only puts a lot of pressure on the player coming in, but it also leaves the striker who's been on great form feeling left out and bringing down the morale of someone who's on a good streak.
I mean, after that, it doesn't mean just because you're selling Aubameyang doesn't mean you're not replacing him either. You can still sell Aubameyang and buy something better. Maybe it would be a gamble, but maybe try and buy another striker. That was just a joke, of course. But
I don't know.
I mean, Haaland would probably be too expensive. For sure. But
Haaland, Arsenal, Jesus.
But I'm sure, I think Cavani, of course, you put Cavani in this Arsenal team, I'm sure Cavani's more of a team player than Aubameyang is, I feel. And I think you put Cavani in that Arsenal team, he'd probably be a bad player to play with Pepe or Lacazette. Because you see him at PSG, he was a very altruistic player. But he was always besides a Neymar, Mbappe, or Ibrahimovic. So I think, of course, it's a far shout. Cavani's getting pretty old, but he'd definitely be a good option, being he's going to be pretty cheap. So, and Cavani can definitely get you 15 goals in the Premier League. I don't think that.
Yeah, but I still think on the attack side, on the offense side for Arsenal, there's really no need for purchases. Because even if they do sell Aubameyang, which I don't think they should, then they still have Nketiah and Martinelli. They went to Brazil just to get Martinelli, which a lot of clubs wanted him. I think he's a really good player. I think he also needs time. So I think Aubameyang staying at the club is very important both on and off the pitch, also to mentor kind of those young players and bring them where Arteta needs them to be.
I mean, we said earlier in the video, the attack isn't really Arsenal's problem. When you're trying to fix, and when we're saying how to fix Arsenal, you don't start by trying to change what's good. Arguably the only thing that's good, with a few.
And the goalkeeping, I think.
Occasionally midfield and goalkeeping. So I think obviously the major improvements need to start with defence, solid centre-backs, and if you're going to have Bayern injured constantly, you're going to need to find another replacement. I think the player who does have a lot of potential is Kieran Tierney. So there's some potential there, but you need to. I think that's the area that needs real work. I mean, as well as a creative midfielder, obviously, like Max said, but defense.
Yeah, sure. So that brings us to what player we think we should keep an eye on for next season. Maybe, player who will be keeping an eye on for positive reasons, thinking, he'll have a positive impact, or maybe a player that we're worried about that we should probably keep an eye on.
I think there are two players. I think the first one is Martinez, the sub goalkeeper. I really think he could get the next year. Now Bert Leno is injured, but I'm pretty sure. I really think next year he could get ahead of Bert Leno on the team sheet.
He's been so good. I've been so impressed by him. All the Arsenal games I watched, he's been.
Yeah, he was playing for Arsenal in the FA Cup, and I saw him. I saw his games before Bert Leno was injured, and I was really impressed when he was playing for in the FA Cup. I really think there's a chance for him to take that number one goalkeeping spot.
That'd be interesting.
And I also think Pepe. Pepe, I think, is a player to watch. There was a lot of expectations for him to come with Arsenal's record signing, but then again, a lot of people didn't really expect him to flourish that quickly. I mean, going from League One to the Premier League is a big change. So I think now that with that transition season, he still had a few goals, few good free kicks. He's starting to get a chemistry with Lacazette and Aubameyang. So I think as the matches go on, I think next year he'll become a very credible threat for the opponents.
Yeah, Pepe's quality is that. It's just he's been nowhere near being consistent. So it's going to be a story for next year.
Again, there's obviously an element. Lots of players do take a while to settle into clubs, but then there's also the element of you can put a very, very good player and make him look mediocre by putting him into a poor club. Surround him by players of low quality, and he's probably not going to be performing at his best. I mean, obviously not going to be performing as best because football is a team sport. But yeah, he still should be making more of an impact.
Yeah. I think my player to watch, maybe a bit biased, but it's definitely Saliba coming from Saint-Etienne next year, and it's just because, of course, we said how important the defense is going to be for Arsenal next year, and I really think he can make an important impact in that Arsenal defence. He is very young, about 19 or 18 years old, I think, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on his shoulders from the supporters and the manager. It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with that pressure, if he's going to be able to perform, or if he's just going to become another Arsenal defensive flop. No. I think he's definitely a player to watch.
I think you should. I think Arsenal should sell Callum Chambers to Fulham, because Callum Chambers had a great loan spell there last season, and he actually came to Craven Cottage to watch one of our games. So I think you should sell him because he deserves better than Arsenal.
So this brings us to what we think Arsenal's objectives should be next season. Champions League title, Europa League.
How are they going to win the Champions League title next season?
No, a Champions League qualification.
Okay.
I think Arsenal, the objective, they're still in transition. So I think the objective has to go step by step. So I think our very first step is aiming for the title.
Next season.
Yeah. And then the year after, Champions League.
Title next season.
What, are you going to win like the Audi Cup or something?
Wow.
No, not true. I think next year the objective, it hasn't changed, is getting one of those Champions League spots, getting in the top 4.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just economically for the club, they really need those. I mean, just to pay Özil's wages, they need the spot. Honestly, for the objectives, I don't. Of course, I think there's maybe too much pressure putting it on the get Champions League. Maybe I think the objective should be getting all those young players you have in the squad this season, getting them, making them be regulars. In the starting 11. Maybe Xhaka isn't it, so we'll get him out. Next season, you need to know who are the young guns you're going to be able to rely on for the next 2, 3, 4 years. I think that should be the objective.
Honestly, I think your objective should be Europa League qualification. Legitimately, unless something pretty dramatic changes over the summer.
Yeah.
I think changes are coming. I think Arsenal next year will be challenging for a Champions League spot.
I think you guys shouldn't even be looking at Champions League or Europa League. Like, just focus on the squad
and the relegation battle.
Focus on the squad, and if you do well with the squad, all right, the comparison maybe isn't great, but Leicester coming into the season, their objective wasn't Champions League, but during the summer they just focused on their squad and how to make it good together to have a good season, and in consequence they had a good season to maybe at the end of the season go into Champions League. So I think if Arsenal go into it saying, all right, we're going to build a squad to go into the Champions League, maybe that could
I see what you mean,
not work. But yeah, so this is saying, what is ideally Arsenal's perfect summer ahead of themselves?
Summer as in transfer-wise?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, what if start next season? You'll see. All right, we've done everything perfectly. This season should be great.
Bring in Ronaldo for free.
All right, realistically.
Keep it on.
Oh yeah, keep Aubameyang. Get an offensive midfielder, but like Thiago Alcantara, or like I would say Rodriguez, but no. Yeah, or like James, or
or even Coutinho, maybe.
Or Coutinho.
Try and make him, get back on form.
Yeah, I'd say get one of those players, keep Aubameyang, and solidify the defense.
All right, solid. Lucas?
I think the main priority, get 1 or 2 solid centre backs, and keep Aubameyang. Really, I think that's the key. That's really, really important to Arsenal. Yeah.
Get some young talent in there to be able to, restructure the whole club. Maybe having you get the club sold off to a new, Arab investor, and you guys can become the next City. Who knows? But no, yeah. So, I guess you can still be optimistic for next. Well, not yet, at least. But Arsenal, of course, is a pretty sick club. They're not doing great.
I thought you were saying they were good. I was going to say.
No, sick as in they're not doing well. We can only hope to see them back at the top of the table, below Tottenham, of course. But
my prediction is Arsenal 4th next year.
Arsenal 4th.
When you're a Tottenham fan as well, it's like.
But yeah, Top 4 next season? Yeah. I think it's too early to say.
Go on.
Too early to say.
Have a complete swing at it. Say your top 8 for next season.
Too early. We'll do that close to next season. But yeah, okay. So that's been how to fix Arsenal. Of course, if you disagree, which I doubt, don't worry to commentate below. Like the video and subscribe. All right. See you.
Thank you.